here with my favorite real estate agent, Jeff. He's also my neighbor. Crazy, I know, but here's the thing. Jeff is a great real estate agent, and we wanted to do some videos with him because buying and selling a house can be really stressful. Please subscribe and hit the bell notification so you can be notified when we put up new videos. Hello, I am Tara, the author of the Dining on a Dime cookbook, where you can eat better, spend less. We have a new hardcover with full color pictures and over 1,200 recipes and tips to help you save money on your grocery bill. Check it out at livingonadime.com. Today we are talking about how to sell your house and what to look for when an agent comes to your house, what they're going to say, what you need to do to get your house ready, and how to go about selling your house. We are getting ready to sell our house. We are trying to find a house in Wyoming, and as soon as we do, Jeff is going to have the sign on the front lawn. The second that contract is signed for us, I'm calling him. He lives across the street, so it'll be quick and easy.
Just walk across the street to McIntyre's house.
All right, so tell us what we need to do to sell our house.
All right, well, thank you for asking. I'm glad to be here with everybody today.
And by the way, his information is in the description below. If you are moving to Colorado, call Jeff. He's great. So,
thank you.
yes.
Very kind of you. So I think the first thing you got to do is you got to find an agent or a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got to find someone that you want to work with to sell your home. Right? Talk about the things that I talk to people about are, what are your needs? What are your expectations? What's your timeline? What do you want to accomplish? What do you think your house is worth? Mm-hmm. What do you want for net proceeds? What does that look like? So basic things up front. It's kind of a consultative conversation, discussion, trying to figure out what this potential client wants and needs. And
we have a whole video that we just shot, and I'll link that in the description below and up above here. But give us some basics like fees, that type of thing. Yeah. What should you expect from a realtor?
So ask some questions. Take some notes right now or come back to the video later. But ask them about what services do they provide. Right? What exactly they're going to do for you. I mean, that's in our broker agreement. I'm held to a quality service guarantee through my brokerage, Remax Nexus. It's all in writing. What's their experience? Do they have references? What are their fees? What's involved in the fees?
What's a typical seller fee?
Well, it varies, and I think it varies by state. I think here in Colorado, you're going to look at anywhere from, say, 4.5% to 5.5% split between two agents. Mm-hmm. It'll be less if I'm listing your house and I find the buyer. It's all negotiable, too.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing people think, it's set at 6%. No, it's not. It's always negotiable, and let's talk about that. And I look at things like, is the person going to buy a home through me? How easy will it be to sell their home? What do they want me to do? They want me to be a project manager and hire tradespeople to bring in trades. There's lots of variables that go into that. So make sure you dig into it deeply.
And you can use a selling realtor just for the paperwork for a lower fee. So
correct.
Like we've talked about, where we are at right now, literally houses are selling in hours. We are talking a couple of hours and a house is under the contract.
Correct.
So that if you happen to be talking to someone else and they say, oh, well, I'm looking for a house in your neighborhood, and we agree as a for sale by owner type thing, Jeff would come in. And sometimes realtors will do that for a lower fee. Like, what would that be? 1%, 2%?
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is. But you would do the paperwork since you didn't have to show a house or list it or anything like that.
Facebook ads and the digital marketing. There's lots of things involved in selling the home that every agent's different, every realtor is different. Yeah. But they'll provide different services, pay for different things, and some won't.
So it doesn't have to be a set in stone thing. No. I think a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get ahead of myself, but I think there are certain things you have to do if you're selling a home that are must-haves, and we'll talk about that. And there are things that you need to be doing on your end as a seller, like prepping your home, cleaning your home, if we need to stage the home, whatever it looks like to get you the highest amount of money for your home.
All right, well, so let's go into that. How do you price your house to sell? Let's start with the price.
Perfect. You got to go there. So if I'm coming into your home or you're meeting me here at the office, I'm going to talk to you I'm going to bring my comparative market analysis, which is called the CMA.
And what is
comps. So basically what that is I'm going to go out and I'm going to do research on comparable homes to yours. Generally within the last 6 months, we're going to look at similar square footage, similar condition. Condition's a big one, right?
How much land?
How much land? Is it a 3-car garage, a 2-car garage? So I'm very much a data. I'm very much a data guy.
Yeah.
Like data doesn't lie. Let's stick to the facts.
Yes.
Zillow might say this, or Realtor.com might say this, but here's the reality of it. So you want to look at the comparables, the comps as we call them, and you're going to look at 3 to 5 similar homes, comparable homes within your surrounding area.
Yep.
And that's the data that we look at. I bring that data with me and we go through it together. So that's really how the appraiser is going to appraise your home.
Yeah.
And what the value is. Now you might have buyers, especially in our market, that are willing to pay more. It's a supply and demand thing, right? There's only so much inventory and there's a lot of buyers right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and like for us, we have the perfect house because it's a ranch, 3-car garage, in a neighborhood, in a town that people absolutely love. So we could get several bids that could really drive the price of the house up above what the comps would say. And that's totally fine. But you do need to be realistic in your price and look at those comparisons of houses that have already sold. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you do if your client thinks that your house is worth $800,000, let's say, but you have the paperwork and it's really only worth $6,000?
Right.
What do you do in that kind of situation?
It's a tough situation to be in. I've never had that big of a gap with the seller.
Or even 7, or
Well, what I would say is I would there's two paths you could take as an agent myself. I could say we can't agree. I'm not going to list your house. It won't be successful. You're going to be frustrated. I'm going to spend a lot of money and we're both going to be frustrated. Or I could say, you know what? I agree to disagree with you, Mr. Seller, but if we do this with where you want to start, I want to have an agreement that if we don't get showings within a certain amount of time, that we're going to look at reducing that price quickly.
Yeah. Because if a house, especially in a market like right now, really the United States is a hopping market for most of the country. People are just moving all over the place.
Correct.
So really your realtor will know a reasonable rate. And one thing to remember, your realtor wants to get the most money out of your house also, because that's more money in their pocket.
Correct.
So they're not going to be unreasonable. If you say your house is worth $800,000, but they say it's worth $7,000, they're telling you that because they actually want to sell your house.
Correct.
So, you might get 2 or 3 different people coming in and giving you an estimate, but there's a that's a problem that we see a lot with people, is they overestimate how much their house is really worth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my job as the listing agent in front of you is to educate you, consult with you, show you the data, show you the facts.
Yeah.
I don't get paid unless I sell your home,
Exactly.
bottom line.
Yeah.
And I'm investing a lot of money and things into it, so I'm motivated to sell it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I don't get paid either.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're not happy.
Yep.
So,
All right, let's talk about timelines.
Yeah, timelines. So I really think when I come in, I'll say, okay, Tara, when do you want to move? What's your timeline look like? When do you want to be out of the house? Are you buying a house? And we kind of work backwards with dates and deadlines. And I'll talk about, here are the things that we need to do to get it cleaned and prepped and staged. And then here's when we're going to list it. Here's when we can realistically expect offers to come in. Here's the closing timeline. Generally 30 days, give or take a few days on either side. Some buyers are willing to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a post-closing occupancy of 10 days and they really want your house. They're probably going to agree to it.
Yeah, that's true.
So we look at those types of things.
Okay. Next, we have...
the show and sell checklist, which is something I give to all of my clients.
So here it is, right here.
Yeah, all highlights. They're like, oh boy, Tar, what is this document he's giving us? Okay, folks, here's the bottom line. Once you figure out your dates and deadlines and fees and you sign the agreements and you know where you're headed, you got to make this house show ready.
Yep.
Okay? Declutter, organize, clean, and I mean deep clean, stage it if necessary, make it look phenomenal before any potential buyer walks into that house. And I have a checklist. And if we don't have enough time to go through it,
Yeah.
But there is a checklist that I'm going to give to you and say, get going.
Yeah.
And if you need help and you need contractors and resources, I have windows cleaned. I think having windows cleaned is really huge. Cleaning, cleaning your carpets, cleaning your floors, there's all kinds of inexpensive things that you can do to make your house look better without spending a lot of money on a kitchen remodel.
And the number one thing, I'll hear people say, oh, my realtor said I need to remodel my kitchen. No, you don't. First of all, use some common sense. If your realtor says you need to spend $10,000 to remodel your kitchen and we'll get your house sold for $8,000 more, that doesn't make sense.
Great point.
So don't go and do big remodeling projects, but do declutter everything. And I mean, guys, everything. Every picture off the refrigerator, every single thing off the kitchen counter, put the trash can away. And Mike and I have sold several houses. And what we do, several of them we had little kids. So we had exercisers and bouncy chairs and high chairs and all this. We would load up the pickup with the dog bed, the exerciser, the trash cans, everything. Everything went in the back of the pickup. We drove off while they came and showed the house. And then when we came back, we unloaded everything. But our house was totally clear. Nothing was laying around. There was no exercisers, no trash cans full of stuff, nothing on the refrigerator. Clean those windows. You might say, oh, that's not a big deal.
It is.
It's a huge deal.
Right.
Subconsciously, people look out dirty windows out the backyard or wherever, and they register that this is not a clean place, and people want a clean place. Baseboards, clean the carpets. Yes, I know it's going to cost you $200 to clean the carpets, but do it. It really makes a huge difference on the price that you get for the house too. Because if you go into a cluttered, stinky, smelly house, that is a huge turnoff. And people are thinking, I have to spend 2 weeks just getting this place cleaned up. I want the price reduced $20,000.
Exactly.
So that is huge. And I mean, huge. That's the one thing I would say is the most important. Clean the stove. Don't leave nasty, dirty, burned off stuff. If you need to hire someone, spend the $200 to hire someone and come in and clean. But really make sure it's clean and decluttered.
That's why this checklist is so important. When I walk through with my clients, I give them the feedback, the advice. I'm repetitive. I bring in a staging consultant, interior design lady. Don't freak out about that. Who has bits and pieces about, depersonalizing the home, getting rid of the family photos, neutral colors. And we and that's a fee that I pay to her to do that because I want this home to look awesome. And she'll provide a report. So lots of things you can do before any potential buyer sets foot in that house. Okay? So the other thing, just to hit this quickly, if you're aware of any potential health and safety issues in the home, your furnace is bad, your AC is bad, whatever that may look like, you have a bad roof, these are things that we need to talk about because a potential buyer is going to come in and potentially see them. And if you get under contract and they do an inspection, they have a right to object. So I'm trying to nip in the bud a lot of these things up front to prevent this deal from falling apart, for example. Okay? Yeah,
and listen to your realtor. I mean, like I said, use some common sense. If they're asking you to spend $10,000 to remodel your kitchen to get $8,000 more out of your house, I've actually seen people say that their realtors have told them that. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Just don't get the higher price. And
look at the return on your investment. Now, I will just give you a caveat because I just sold a home locally about this. But if you have a situation where the carpet is old, for example, but there is cat urine in the carpet, or there's major stains, okay, that smell of the cat urine in that home is going to turn people off. So this guy decided to invest with one of my contractors a small amount of money to recarpet the upstairs. It would have been a big problem.
We're kind of in the same situation. Our carpet is 10 years old. And so we already know that we will either it doesn't smell, but we know we may have to give a carpet allowance or something like that. We already understand that. But it's just worn out. It's not stained or anything like that. It's just worn out carpet from having
and that's
No.
fine. There's no smells. People
Yeah.
get that. I sold the home in our neighborhood last year. The guy was a smoker. We finally got it sold. That smoke didn't come out. I did all kinds of things for him. He did all kinds of things. He moved to Arizona. I was managing the house, doing the garage sale, and doing all kinds of things to get rid of the smoke. And it, took 40 showings, but we got the right buyer in there.
Wow.
Anyway,
Wow.
So things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's really important on the front end when you're selling a home.
So what can they expect for, like, what is a realtor going to do to their house? Like signs, lockbox, that kind of thing?
All very, very huge things. I'm going to come in, any good realtor agents, they're going to have a professional photographer who does this for a living, come in and take professional photos. They're going to do a virtual tour, especially in the world of COVID. Some people don't want to go into homes. The virtual tours are important. They're going to put a yard sign in if you want that. There's going to be a lockbox. There's going to be marketing of the home. They're going to have marketing materials for you. The marketing plan when you list your home is so important. How are you going to sell that house? Those types of things are really important. And I can dive into some of that a little deeper if you want.
So give me just a little bit more on what you should look for in a marketing plan when your realtor is doing this. First of all, make sure all the information is correct.
Yeah, make sure it's correct. Make sure your data is correct. Make sure you're going to approve the photos. I'm going to show you the photos. I'm going to show you the virtual tour. And make sure that meets your approval. Is this a good representation of your home? We want to make sure all the square footage is accurate, okay? If it looks really off, I'll bring in a company to do a professional not appraisal, but they will measure it.
Yeah.
Make sure all of that data is accurate, and that's where the client and I work very closely. Here's what I'm going to put into the multiple listing service so other agents with buyers will see it. Is this all accurate? Bedroom, square footage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Yep. What other kinds of marketing things do they do?
Facebook, things like Facebook ads, right, are really important. Social media, digital marketing is the best way, I believe, to find the buyer, unless you happen to know someone.
Yeah.
But most potential buyers are out on the web, they're on the internet, they're going to Zillow, Realtor.com, they're talking to their agent who has them set up on a search. We run Facebook ads. I use a company called AdWorks to do different things to find buyers, little robots at far, but you're going to find them that way. That's the real big piece of it, I think.
And be considerate of your realtor. This costs them money, guys.
Yeah.
They aren't just doing this for free.
Right.
They actually have to spend money marketing, money printing the brochures, money putting it out there on Zillow and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, you need to be a reasonable seller also. That's one thing that I've noticed a lot of is sellers aren't reasonable. And you need to make sure that you're not taking advantage of your realtor also. Okay, so showing a house. When you show a house, what do they need to expect? Yeah,
so basically, make sure it is prepped and cleaned, and I say staged. Make sure it's show ready. When I list it on the multiple listing service to the two I have here in Colorado, the buyer agents will go in and they're going to schedule the showing. We're going to put a lockbox on. They're going to be a licensed agent. I'm going to approve that with the seller. And here's an agreed upon time. Get out of the house. Get your pets out of the house. Make sure it looks great. Don't be cooking some spicy food beforehand and it stinks.
Yep.
If you have nice music on in the background, that's great. Just make sure it looks really good when they walk into that house.
And let's go back to the pets just.
Yeah.
As we have been looking at houses for us here in Colorado, that is actually a huge thing. We have gone to several houses and people just leave their dogs running around. Don't do that.
No.
There are people who are afraid of dogs, or they may have little kids that could hurt the dog or something like that. That is a real safety issue. Do not leave any of your pets in the house. Take them with you or lock them in the kennel outside or in the garage or whatever, but do not leave your pets running around. And also, be open to just showing your house at any time.
Yeah.
You can't just say, well, I'm only going to show my house from 1 to 2 every third Friday.
Not going to work. Not going to fly.
Your house.
Not going to fly.
I mean, if you're disabled or something like that and you have a need where it's going to take you some time to get, that person out of the house or something like that, that's fine. But the majority of the time, you need to pretty much say, okay, they're going to be here in an hour. I'm ready. I'm going to be gone.
Yep. or whatever time you
Yeah.
agree. We can give them
Yeah.
advance notice. It could be 2 hours.
Yeah.
But make sure it's always looking good.
Yeah. All right. Now, when you get an offer on your house, what about negotiating with the buyer on your house? How does that work?
Yeah, it's really kind of a cool thing. When you get an offer on the house, my job as your agent or realtor is to negotiate on your behalf. So you get this offer, and we're going to sit down and we're going to go through everything that's in there, from purchase price, the closing timeline. Is it a cash buyer? Is it a loan? What are these dates and deadlines? My job is to protect you as much as possible. They're going to want to do an inspection. It has to pass an appraisal. So we have to evaluate all of the offers. In your case, you'll probably have multiple offers, and look at the criteria that makes the most sense for you.
Because just because it's the highest priced offer does not necessarily mean it's the best.
That is absolutely correct.
And give me a situation where that would be the case.
So let's say we have, and I've had a few of these this year, believe it or not, cash buyers on homes that are $350,000, $430,000. Cash buyers may not offer as much as a buyer with a loan, but the big advantage to a seller is that they don't have to go through financing and the loan approval process, and there's generally not an appraisal.
Yeah.
The loan financing with the buyer can kill a deal.
Because a lot of times they won't give you a house loan if you need the heater fixed or you need a new roof.
Correct.
Or something like that. It will delay the process so long that it could cause problems, kind of like a domino effect with you buying your next house, that kind of thing. So a house with a loan may not be the best deal even though it's the highest price, and you really have to take that into consideration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I say dates and deadlines. How fast do they want to get to the closing table? As a buyer's agent, and the good ones, I think, they're going to call the listing agent who's selling the home and say, what would your client like to see in the offer?
Yeah.
In terms of dates and deadlines, and do they need a post-closing occupancy? Things like that to make it really appealing and attractive to the seller.
Yeah. All right.
That's really important.
What else do we have? Under contract. What? All right. What's coming?
Let the games begin. So you got the offer. You've had multiple offers. You pick one, and you're officially signed, and now we're under contract. So there are things that I, as a listing agent, need to do. The big one is to monitor all the dates and deadlines. That is my job. When is the earnest money going to be due? When is the commitment for the title insurance?
What is earnest money?
Earnest money is essentially a buyer coming in and putting down some skin in the game and saying, I'm going to buy your home. Here's my earnest money as good faith to complete this transaction. And
depending on the price, it's usually around $1,000, depending. That's an average price, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, I would say 1% of the purchase price roughly is what you're looking at. Sometimes you get agents that are crazy and they want 2%. But I generally would say, let's just ask for 1% of your purchase price for the home. Okay.
All right.
If it is, and whether it's a cash buyer or a buyer that's financing with a loan, they're going to want to do an inspection of your home by a professional inspector, which is really, really important. And they're going to go through the house with a fine-tooth comb, and I don't have it in front of me, but that inspector is going to look at everything from electrical to plumbing to HVAC, condition of windows, just everything under the sun, and create a report. And the buyer has the right to object to anything, right?
Yep.
And that's where negotiation may have to happen as well. If it's a loan, there could be an appraisal. So there's a lot of moving parts to that when it's under contract, and that listing agent needs to be on top of that with you. And ongoing communication is key. I will over communicate until you tell me to stop calling you every day.
Yeah.
Give you the showing feedback. Tell you this. Here's what that. I personally have one of the things that I do is I will monitor the buyer's loan process if there's a loan.
Yeah.
I will talk to that lender. I will call the lender before I even accept the offer or before you accept.
Yeah.
I want to make sure with a qualified buyer, good financing, they're ready to go, and that lender is getting through their loan approval process, getting through underwriting to get to clear to close. And if it's delayed, that's a problem.
And if you are selling your house, do not wait until the last minute to pack.
Yes.
You need to be packing before you decide to sell your house. You get as much as you can packed up before you decide your house. And then as soon as you get a contract, you start throwing everything in boxes and get ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I give everybody the moving checklist, right?
Yeah.
Do's and don'ts, timelines, address changes, things that you need to be thinking about before that closing happens. Because once you get through, you're under contract, you get through everything, we're ready to go to the closing table at the title company. There's a timeline for you to get out. When you sign all the paperwork and that deed is going and the title's moving on, you got to get out.
Yeah. So let's talk about closing real quick. What should they expect when they close on a house?
Yeah.
What does closing mean?
It really, here's the layman's way to understand it, Tara and folks, is basically you're going to go into a title company and they are the third party, and that's where the escrow is set up with the earnest money. They're going to handle all this paperwork, signing over the title, signing over the deed, and all. It's a paperwork place that you're going to send a lot of documents to transfer ownership and get your net proceeds, get the funds from selling your house. And that's the final piece of it.
Guys, that is how you go about the closing process and accepting offers on your house. Please check out the rest of our videos on buying and selling your house. If you need a realtor, Jeff is your man. He's great. We've got his information in the description below. If you are buying or selling in Colorado, call Jeff. We absolutely love him. Cannot wait to sell our house with him. Also, if you need these checklists to help you buy and sell your house, Jeff is setting up a website, and as soon as he gets that set up, I'm going to add the link in the description below also for you. Please visit us at livingonadime.com, and we will see you guys next time.